Okay, welcome to Radio Free West. Greetings, Earthlings, while we still have air to breathe. Because it probably won't be long now as all that crude comes up from Venezuela to be refined in Texas for good, cheap gas just in time for summer driving season and just in time for the election season. It also kneecaps BRICS completely. Now, I didn't know this about BRICS. I looked it up. I thought it was just Brazil and China and somebody else. I wasn't sure. It is Brazil, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Indonesia. These are huge populations. Iran, Russia, South Africa, and the United Arab Emirates. That is a huge conglomerate, huge. I had no idea. Now, why don't I know this? Because BRICS has been in the news. Why aren't Americans reading this on Yahoo News aggregates like me, like I do? So what happened was back in November. I hope it's not those nasty dogs coming back around. Anyway, that's for the other channel. Back in November, they stopped processing. BRICS uses the Petro yuan as their currency, and they also process U.S. petrodollars. Well, they stopped that in November. Okay, so that's huge. Complete media blackout. That is huge because it would threaten the supremacy of the U.S. dollar, which it was doing because the U.S. dollar was tanking. So, you know, anybody who's watched this channel knows how much I despise Trump. I think he's the biggest idiot in the world. Hello. But Marco Rubio is not, and this has got him all over it. Because not only does this kneecap BRICS taking their oil, taking their biggest revenue source away from them, just going in and taking it, it also kneecaps Cuba, and that's Rubio's pet dream, and has been for the decade or so he's been in politics. He used to be a senator for me until he was the Secretary of State. Rubio's not a dumb guy, and this has got him all over it, because this is actually in a lot of ways brilliant. If you're going to do a warfare tactic, this was a good one. I know you're going to hate it, and I hate Trump, but Rubio pulled this off, apparently. So they're just going to go in and take the oil, and it's going to go up to Texas, and it's going to be the cheapest gas prices seen in decades. All this cheap, nasty crude. It's dirty oil, which means it has a lot of pollutants and minerals. So it takes a lot of refining. It creates a lot more pollution. But so what? Because in those Texas refinery areas, no one is being represented in Congress anymore. They've been gerrymandered out of existence. And these, of course, are minority communities. So it's just, geez, wow. Okay, so long. People know that I left America in 2006 because of what happened in Iraq and the Bush lies, and the Supreme Court handing him over was the first straw. It just went on. And finally in 2006, I sold out, and just in time, too, because there was a huge housing crunch. And I live in Southeast Asia where things are cheap and I can get by on my pension. And, you know, voila, here I am. But I'm still very much involved in U.S. politics. I vote. I'm actually a registered Republican, but only so I could vote for Haley in the primaries. And then I decided I would stay Republican because I have less chance of having my ballot tossed in the garbage or being rounded up and shot later on, you know, so because this is what's going on. Anyway, so that's a lot on BRICS. Took up a long time. Ooh, 4 minutes. I just want to say that, and this, you know, I should probably do these shows a little more often because there was so much to cover. But anyway, I want to talk about the Facebook Cambridge Analytica. Very hard to say that. They had to pay out because they were interfering with the election back in 2016. Okay, so why? That's just not even a blip on the radar. Facebook interfered with the election in 2016 and paid this huge analytical company to spread lies around, and which is exactly what Musk did in 2024. And he did it on an even grander scale, and that's why he voted. That's why they're collecting voter data, because they're just going to use these huge data processes to target voters, here comes the suppression. Target them for voter roll scrubs. That's the big way. Target them for lies, to manipulate them. Very easy to do. And, frankly, you think the midterms are going to save America? I wouldn't count on it. Now, they can't cheat in the ways that they did in 2024 in the presidential election, because that's because of the Electoral College, blah, 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 blah. You only have to tweak a few key precincts, and a few key swing states. And I think they really overdid it by winning all swing states, but we can't get any meaningful look at it, and we won't while the Republicans are in office. And while people like Chris Murphy's staffers hanging up on me while I'm trying to tell them this stuff. So, yeah, what are we at now? 6 minutes almost. And eliminating all those truckers' jobs, those immigrant trucker jobs, that's just about replacing them with the federal workforce, which is largely black. D.C. is a very black city. It's about 64% black, I think. I'm from that area. I grew up there, and I worked in the city for some 20 years. And so they just want to shift these federal workers into these other jobs, like truck driving and other such labor. That's what's going on with that. All right, so, and Smart Elections got their lawsuit dismissed after the candidate just completely shut down. And you can go to TrumpCheated.org on Reddit, which sadly I just got banned from. But anyway, I just got to make those snarky comics on the comments on the Thailand forum. And the guy that runs that hates me, so. Anyway, permanent ban. There is another person who has offered to take a role as moderator, and I can just send them weekly posts. So I'm not worried about that. It was just a repository for links, and I need to get off my ass. I got some other stuff going on in the courts, some personal stuff. Get off my ass and make a website. I can afford it. I can afford the $50 a year or whatever it is. So let's see here. What else? So anyway, and besides kneecapping BRICS and getting cheap oil to refine for next summer's driving season and the next election, it also really saved the U.S. dollar, because if it tanked, it was threatening U.S. Treasury bonds, and if those crash, then you got a $38 trillion. I can't even keep it up. $38 trillion debt would come due. So you got China pretty much owning America after that. So yeah, it was illegal. It was shitty. It was against all rules, international rules. It was Rubio's plan, and if it saves the dollar, it helps me, I should disclose, because I live off of a Social Security pension mostly, and I don't need the dollar tanking. And nobody needs the dollar tanking. No American needs the dollar tanking. So then you have to ask yourself, is Trump doing what he needs to do to help Americans by doing this? And sadly, the answer is yes. I know you're going to hate me. But anyway, you want a contrary opinion, there it is. Okay, bye. What is today anyway? Did I say? January 9th, Friday. Bye.